So, nobody talks about the money side of dating someone from another country, and I don't mean who pays for dinner. What happens to your taxes when you move to another country for someone? What happens to the flat when only one name is on the lease? What happens when you're spending €900 a month on flights and calling it love? This stuff is everywhere in Europe right now. Cheap flights, dating apps, remote jobs. People fall for someone 3 countries away every day. But the rules, tax, housing, banks, they're still built for people who never leave. 5 things, 5 minutes, let's go. Okay, the obvious one. Flights. You're in one city, they're in another. You want to see each other what? Every 2 weeks? Maybe more at the start because you're obsessed and can't help it. A weekend return inside Europe, 80 to €150. Depends on the route, depends on how early you book. And dinner and drinks, doing something together. That's another €150 per trip, easy. Twice a month, you're looking at €500–600. 3 times closer to 900. It's basically a second rent, except you're paying it for Ryanair boarding pass and a hug at arrivals. And nobody puts relationship flights in their budget, but it's right there every month on the bank statement. So at some point, around month 6, one of you ends up saying, okay, someone has to move. And it's not the feeling that ran out. The money did. That's the part nobody warns you about. The flights are not just expensive. They quietly set deadline for the whole relationship. This sounds small, but it's not. First date, bill comes, you both look at it. And here's the thing, when you're dating someone from another country, you don't know their rule. And they don't know yours, and nobody says it out loud. In Spain, he pays, that's what just happens. She might offer to split later, but the first move is his. In Sweden, you split every time. If a guy tries to pay for everything on a first date, it feels actually strange, like, why are you doing that? In the UK, the person who invited pays. Nobody explains this to you. You just sit there, the bill arrives, and if you don't reach for it after you were the one who suggested dinner, it gets awkward fast. And in France, the guy pays quietly. No big show. The card just appears on his side of the table and everyone pretends it wasn't planned. So you have 2 people from 2 different countries at the same table and both of them are sitting in that same silence with 2 completely different ideas of what's supposed to happen next. The one who didn't offer wasn't cheap, they were just following the rule you've never heard of. And honestly, the bill itself doesn't matter. What matters is that you just sent your first signal in a language only one of you speaks. Okay, at some point, one of you moves. That's how it gets solved. Someone packs a bag, leaves their flat, maybe their job, and shows up in the other person's country. For love, right? But here's what nobody tells you it costs. Number 1, taxes. After about 6 months in new country, they start taxing everything you earn. Not just your salary there, everything, worldwide. If your old country was charging you 15% and the new one charges 40%, that's the gap. Number 2, your old bank quietly reports you. Banks in your old country send account info to your new country's tax office. You don't get a letter, it just happens. Number 3, your driver's license. Most European countries give you 6 months to a year to exchange it. After that, countries like Denmark, Sweden or Finland make you to take the full test again. Theory and driving from scratch, like you just turned 18. Number 4, your health card from home stops working around month 3. If you haven't signed up for local healthcare, you just uninsured between 2 systems and covered by neither. And number 5, the conversation nobody has. What happens to the flat, to the shared things, to joint account if it ends? Nobody plans for this, but you probably should. You moved for love, but the system thinks you filled out the form. Let me give you a situation. You move to their country, they already have a flat. You move in, easy, no paperwork, no landlord meeting. Their name is on the lease, your isn't. You live there, cook there, pay half the bills, but your name is nowhere. Now in Germany, if you signed up at that address, which you're supposed to do anyway, you have rights. The landlord can't just change the lock on you, there's a whole process. In Spain, if your name isn't on the paper, you have nothing. Legally, you were never there, just a guest who stayed too long. And in the Netherlands, if you live together more than 6 months, you might have some protection. But it depends on the city and whether you can prove it. Same breakup, 3 countries, 3 different answers on the question, can I stay? So that lease isn't just about the apartment. When you're the one who moved countries for someone, that piece of paper might be the only thing left proving you were ever part of their life. 5 questions. I know most couples don't ask them, especially at the start, but here they are. Who's paying taxes where? Whose name is on the flat? Are your bank accounts even in the same country? Who is covering the flights and can they actually keep doing that? And if this doesn't work out, what does going home actually cost the person who moved? This is not romantic questions, I know, but romance without answers to them is just hoping nothing goes wrong. The person who moved gave up a flat, maybe a tax rate, maybe a whole healthcare plan back home. Going back to all of that isn't something you do with one click. Sometimes it's a long process and sometimes it's not cheap. You don't need a formal agreement, you just need one real conversation before anyone packs a suitcase. Look, more people in Europe dating across borders than ever before. Cheap flights, remote jobs, apps that don't care what passport you hold. But the systems, tax, housing, insurance, banks, all of this is still built for people who stay in one country for their entire life. Nobody is going to explain this to you, not your partner's family, not your boss, not the airline, and definitely not the landlord. You just have to figure it out or watch a 5-minute video, I guess. Look, love is amazing, but it's not going to pay the flights, sign the lease, and file the tax form for you. Those things still need a person. The sooner you actually see these costs, the less they end up costing you. I'm Nick, this is Terms of Living, see you next time.